Hey, Tim,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
we can. All right. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:32 p.m. Claire's not here yet, so maybe we'll hold off on the minutes. I have no update on NERI. We have not met. They did create kind of an offshoot of NERI. I think the select board did it last night. Marcy, I don't know if you watched their meetings. I didn't have a chance, but that community center committee that kind of dovetails a little bit to the NERI one, but no update on NERI.
Yeah, they did that. It was last night. I was just catching up actually right before this. So
Okay.
They're starting with a small committee of like three. And then as people come back from vacation, they hope to expand it. So, but yes, you had another committee. So,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Claire's not here yet, but Carla is. So why don't we jump into the interdepartmental and reserve fund transfers? And Howard, are you familiar with that concept? Just or do you want me to explain what those are and why we do them?
the transfers,
Yeah.
they ran out of money. We have a reserve fund to cover it, basically. So,
Correct. And then there's interdepartmental transfers, which is basically kind of a similar idea, but it comes from, one budget was under and they just kind of moved the money.
I didn't see one of those. I thought all of these were coming out of the reserve fund. Did I miss one?
That's at the bottom of the spreadsheet, and I'll say intergov transfers.
I didn't see the spreadsheet either. There we go. I just have the actual.
Sure, no problem. I'll share it on the screen right now. And bring Carlos over. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. So we'll tackle them one at a time. Why don't we do the interdepartmental? So interdepartmental transfers, Carla, keep me honest, require both select board and advisory to vote.
Yeah.
Select board has voted to approve these. So we are just kind of doing the other side of the coin. Does anybody want to dig into these? We have kind of explanations of them, the training line, the Northborough settlement for the court judgment, and the chief severance, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory. But happy to dig into any detail.
So, Andrew, just for my own understanding here, how did these intergov transfers track to that interdepartment transfer? Those are different things?
Nope, same things.
So, okay, because I see there's three on that other spreadsheet. They're coming from health insurance.
Correct. That's where they're getting funded out of.
So the health insurance line item of the treasurer department budget. Is that how it works?
I think it's the benefit line, right? I think it's a different budget. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The benefit line. Yep.
So it's just
Okay.
the benefit line was basically under budget and expenses. So they're using that under to cover these overages.
Okay. So there's no reason why these departments would need those funds in the future. They didn't have the number, or I guess why was it lower? Was it that they had someone who opted out, or they had an open head count that they didn't fill, or?
Carl, I'll let you take that one.
Well, oftentimes our health insurance budget, there's so much, not give and take, but in and out with employees, because we also, our health insurance line doesn't cover just town employees, which are much easier to track, but school as well. So we base our budget based on who we think is going to come in and add, a few to that, because we know we're going to have a few ads through the year and a few people come off or retire or whatnot. So typically there is a balance left in that budget. And this year we had money left, so we're drawing these three transfers from that line. And the reason why on the intergovs, Adam, to kind of differentiate the intergovs, if it's not coming from the reserve fund, the selectmen need to vote on it as well. So these three transfers, as Andrew said, the selectmen did vote at a prior meeting, so we just need advisory approval with them. But anything that comes from the reserve fund, that's under the purview of the advisory, so advisory just needs to vote that.
So the first two are very small amounts, so that wouldn't be surprising to see some of the puts and takes there that you talked about. But I guess it's a little surprising to see almost $70,000 short or favorability, I guess you could say, out of the health insurance or benefits budget for police. Why is it such a large amount that's left that's not being used there?
So it's not the police's benefits, it's going to the police. So, right, but like, for instance, the reason why benefits is down is we never hired that IT guy. Right. So we didn't end up
It's the
using
benefits budget. Right. So the town benefits budget. Okay.
Correct.
That makes a lot more sense.
Which includes the schools too, right? So it's that
Yeah.
huge multi-million-dollar budget came under, and Kyle, I don't know if you know the figure, but say it's $100,000 below that multi-million-dollar number.
Right.
They can use that to kind of cover these pieces.
Right. And typically we don't want to run that benefits line, too close to the rail, because if we have, 4 new teachers that come in, it's their family plans, that's a big amount. So we do have to, have some play within that number.
Okay. This makes a lot more sense now. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, and obviously the biggest number there is the chief, payout for his contract, which in theory, we should have some kind of also benefit to us, by the time we get a new chief in seat and backfill all the positions, we should have some benefit this fiscal year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Do we have a motion to approve a $350 interdepartmental transfer for the treasurer for a training line, $782 interdepartmental transfer for court judgments, $68,659 interdepartmental transfer to the police for chief severance?
So moved.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Howard,
Aye.
Adam,
Hi.
Tim,
Aye.
and Marcy.
Aye.
And Andrew is aye. And is there anybody else? I can't see if is there anybody else in the audience? Okay, no. Okay.
No.
All right, so 5-0. And then we're left with our usual reserve fund transfer. So we started the year with 190,000. Next year we'll have 180. We already approved the $17,000 for the emergency replacement for the boat after it sprung a leak. On top of that, we advisory needed a reserve fund transfer for our minute taker. We had, I think the main reason there is because we had a deferred or a longer period of time before town meeting. We had a lot more meetings than we were anticipating, so that put us over a little bit. Town clerk had some unbudgeted expenses for early voting and voting by mail. That wasn't in their budget. Facilities was over a little bit due to the increase in electricity delivery charge than what they had budgeted for. Fire had some overtime to cover labor shortage. I think there was a lieutenant that left. And then Board of Health, we've talked about kind of what we were the backstop for kind of that second half of the year amount. And then so this is the amount that's left after what was able to be put through FEMA. And then liability insurance, the premium, there was a premium increase more than what we had budgeted for. But happy to go. If anybody has any questions on any of those in particular, we can dig into them.
Hey, Andrew.
Yep.
It's Tim. Just refresh my memory. That $59,000, we had effectively promised, I know it was a different board, but we had effectively promised the Board of Health that amount, right?
I think we promised 93. I think we earmarked holding aside 93.
And that was because we wanted them to go to FEMA and CARES, right? And try to get as much grant money as possible. And in order to make that happen, we had to be the backstop, right?
Well, yeah, basically, we were basically, in order for them not to put it in their budget, to have the ability to maybe go to FEMA and CARES, they needed a backstop, which is what we did.
And had they put it in their budget, that would have disqualified us immediately for that money.
Correct, especially for CARES.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
both.
Andrew.
Actually, both. Yeah.
Both? Okay, both. I wasn't sure about FEMA. Thanks, Carl.
Yep.
So I think it was still the right move, but nevertheless, we were ending up where we thought we would end up, with a little bit of a backstop.
They did cover a portion, so can't hurt to try, right?
Exactly. Okay, any more questions?
Looking at that overage is, forgive me, I don't remember the next budget. Has that been absorbed so that we don't run into this again next year?
In advisory?
Yeah.
I think we did increase it. I want to say we went from 3 to 4. Carla, honestly, I don't remember off the top of my head. I have to look it up.
I don't have the numbers with me.
I think we did, Howard. I think we did increase it, but
Yeah.
we're also changing like the way we compensate for minute takers.
Mhm.
There's like a new rate.
Oh, no, I'm sorry about the Board of Health.
Oh, so yeah, so the Board of Health, it's now included in their budget. One, it's included in their budget, and the other is being paid for out of ARPA.
Okay, yeah, obviously, we couldn't foresee a lot of that. So I'm not upset by that year. I just don't want to see it happen again.
Correct. No, yeah, so it won't hit reserve fund next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Do I have a motion to approve a reserve fund transfer for $575 to advisory, $5,961.32 to town clerk, $3,264.97 to facilities, $1,411 to fire, and $59,077 to Board of Health, and $6,392 for liability insurance.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote. Howard.
Aye.
Adam. Tim.
Aye.
Marcy.
Aye.
And Andrew is aye. Carla, did that vote work for you?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you very much. And you'll come in and sign the forms.
Yep, I'll come in tomorrow and sign them and all that stuff.
Okay, great. All right, terrific. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. All right. Jim, you're all set, but if you feel free to raise your hand if you want to talk at all, but we just approved it. So let's do minutes. I'll just take the notes because the player's not here. Let me just open it up. Did anyone have any edits for the 6:29 minutes?
No, but Claire has one thing highlighted.
Yeah, she had a question for you.
Yeah, I think it was FY22. I think that was correct. So I put in mine a little note that I think that was the correct one. Okay, why don't I share? I had done a couple edits on here, so why don't I just share that, and then anybody can tell me whether or not they have anything else they want to add. So my first edit was this question about the 4 to 6K still to be determined, not how the payout would be amount we covered. It was how the new chief consultant, the FY23 amount, and I was suggesting the salary budget surplus. That was one edit there.
So we did have some discussion on that though.
Correct.
Is that
Well, the payout was a reserve fund. The consultant was the surplus, right? Because the payouts already happened this year. The surplus would happen next year.
Yeah.
Or last year. Okay. I just had a couple, M for millions. I just kind of updated that. FY22 here was correct. Instead of a free cash stabilization plan, I think it's this stabilization plan, which refers to the debt stabilization plan. Here. Just fixing in, so it's a lowercase I. And that's the only edits I had. Did anybody else have anything else? All right, do we have a motion to approve? Oh, there's Claire. Let me bring her over. Hey, Claire.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to let you know, I have some internet problems, major, that I can't fix, so.
That's all right. We just, I had showed basically my track changes on the minutes and nobody else had any other ones. So I can just send
Okay.
this to you and you'll be
So
good to go.
Yep, I see that and all set. Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes as edited?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? No. Roll call vote. Howard,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and Andrew is aye. All right. Da-da-da. There we go. What else? Committee liaison reports. So I think just I don't have anything too much for the kind of committees that I was following. I listened to CPC last night. They started discussing the 3% increase. The select board, I guess, does have it already on a draft warrant for the fall. So I think we need to talk to CPC again and see if they're willing to sponsor the article or whether the select board will, et cetera, and see where that goes from there.
Does that mean, Andrew, that the select board is in favor?
So I believe the select board is in favor. They do have it on their goals for this year to try to increase it. So it looks like select board's in favor. I believe, kind of based on a straw poll, this board seemed to be in favor. It sounded like CPC seemed to be in favor. So now it's just kind of getting everybody together and kind of circling the wagons and saying CPC, will you sponsor it so that select board and advisory can support it? Again, this isn't actually increasing it. It's putting the increase question on the ballot. And if it doesn't go through, you could also do it via signatures. So you would need 5% of registered voters, which I think is around 400 people to sign a petition to put it on the ballot. But I think town meeting would be easier. I didn't catch the select board, Marcy, besides knowing that. Was there anything?
Yeah, I mean, I did listen to it. I'd also listened to planning board and I tried to listen to the goals meeting. I have a little summary here just based on review of the agenda. I find it pretty challenging with the new OWL. I love the system, but it's really hard to hear when they're in this virtual mode plus in person. I don't know, maybe pass this along to Jay because I think they need to be mic'd individually to hear them very well. But just in brief, what I gathered was they did approve 3 things related to ARPA yesterday. I think the historical sign project was already voted on, but they did speak about it again. The Peninsula Trail project tax relief as well. And that was when I was having a hard time hearing. So I'm not quite sure with the tax relief, I couldn't describe it to you if I had to, but they also discussed proposed articles. And you're right that CPC did come up, as well as scenic roads and trees, which is a carryover from spring or the main town meeting. They also talked a little bit about communication with the Public Works Planning Board, as well as there's an upcoming meeting with Capital Planning and the Public Works Planning Board, which we'll try to watch next week. I think it's Monday. They are going to be talking about the Hopkinton Water Project. And the Select Board was saying they'll start giving, if I understood correctly, the Public Works Planning Board a little more direction if you watched Mr. Boland at the planning board meeting a couple weeks ago, there appears to be sort of a, I would say, a philosophical difference about what he views that committee's purpose to be and what others may wish it to be or think it should be. So I think some of those details are being ironed out, possibly with a little more direction. And Deb DeMaria was elected as the latest member from planning to Public Works Planning Board. If I don't know if anyone's aware of that. So their first meeting will be with capital planning this week to go over some of the Hopkinton information about DPW and the DPW oversight, I think, in general. So the last but not least, select board discussed some of the structures of their meetings. It sounded to me, if I heard correctly, they're thinking of placing a 4-hour time limit, or at least a goal of stopping at 4 hours with public comments at the beginning and the end, and possibly throughout if you raise your hand, which would be a slight change in operations than what we've seen before, as well as how they handle consent agenda. Mr. Purple had a lot of comments about the way consent agendas are done, and I can't really elaborate on that. I was, again, having trouble hearing, but it sounded like some good moves in the right direction, I thought, for certainly the public involvement. If we can, solve the owl problem.
I did mention that, I think, to Kathy the other day, and I know that you can hook 2 owls together, so they're kind of in sync. You only do 2, so I kind of recommended. We don't have. I think we have a second one to try to put one on one side of the room and one on the other, because I agree, it's hard to hear some of the people at the end of the table sometimes.
Right. That's all I had, Andrew. I'm going to try it just next time to watch it on YouTube instead of live and see if that helps, because it may be different. I'm not sure if anyone had that experience or not, but
I actually just did it that way, and no, it's equally as hard, and actually it's even harder if you do it at a faster speed trying to get through it, which is the advantage of doing it on YouTube. So I actually slowed it down to try and listen a little better. But you're right, it was hard to hear. So.
I'm hoping too that Sam still comes up. I mean, they're supposed to be fixing whatever was broken in the town hall, and I think they were also supposed to wire up the public safety building for recording. So I'm hoping that that's part of the cable agreement, that we get that equipment in there and it's better than what we're doing now. But I haven't heard much progress on that lately. Okay, great. Anybody else to bring up anything?
I think a lot of, I guess the selectmen had a separate retreat where they were working with, I guess, a consultant to have more efficient meetings. So I think a lot of the suggestions that they came up with came out of that. So we'll see how that works. But again, it looks like a step in the right direction. I think bringing back at least the ability to raise your hand and talk at particular topics is important. It's something that's been lacking. So I encourage that coming back. So.
Yeah, I forgot to mention too, last week, I think it was, myself, Kathy, Andrew, Sam, and the chiefs visited the RECC regional 911 center in Foxborough.
Yep, that was the one thing that we forgot from the meeting. Yes.
Yeah, so we went down and it was a hell of an operation. I mean, how the building itself, how they do things, the technology that they have is phenomenal. The director there I was like, well, what would happen if you called 911? So he pulls out his phone, he calls it, and like your medical ID information that you have on your iPhone, that pops up directly on the screen, so they know like what medications you're allergic to, who your emergency contacts are, exactly where you are, the technology. I mean, Tim, I don't know if I didn't even know some of these things. Like if you're in a certain car, it can tell them whether or not your car is on fire, over 200 degrees, what seat people were sitting in, whether it rolled over. Just some of the, they have 3 different redundant internets. They have 5 different fiber lines, microwave and Starlink. So just it's in a hardened nuclear, capable building. It's just what a hell of an operation. But I think the general idea is to, probably build something similar to that for the 7 towns that are interested in the regionalization, or, as possible option, we would be able to probably join theirs. They have a pretty large facility. They could absorb more towns. They have 4 now, but they could certainly, I think, have more. But it was certainly a great visit. Okay.
What town was that, Andrew? Hopkinton?
It's in Foxborough,
Oh, Foxborough. Okay.
and I think it's like Foxwood. It's like the 4 surrounding towns there. Easton, Norwood, and something else.
Norfolk, maybe.
Norfolk, maybe, yeah. But so they handle all the 911 and fire and police dispatching for that area. And then I think they do a lot of the mutual aid for, I think, Bristol County. So they kind of help coordinate that amongst that area. So they built the facility. I think they finished it in 2020, and I think it was almost entirely with state aid. And they're still and then the state pays for the first 3 years of operation, so they're still working with state money. Their total operating budget is about $2 million. So if and when the state money rolls out, it's about $500,000 a town, depending on how they allocate it. But it's what's nice is today we have one person on at a time. So if they get 2 calls, or they're having to talk to the person on the 911 call while trying to dispatch, police, fire, and EMS, whereas they have 10 people on at all times. So, if there's a multiple call, you can have, 3, 4, 5 people, working on the same call with different pieces of it. So it's just a great operation. So something to work on, and something they're looking to strive for as part of this, regionalization grant that we got to kind of look at it. All right. That's all I have for any other business. All right. I thought tonight would be pretty quick, just so you know. Public comment.
Actually, sorry, Andrew, one thing I did want to ask the group is, during the summer, I don't know if you have the same experience I have, but things tend to run a little bit longer during the day, at least with my kids. So I don't know if people would be open to starting 30 minutes later. If not, no big deal, but thought I would throw it out there.
I think since the meetings are shorter, I think that in the summertime, I think that works. I don't really have a concern with that. I think we'll probably take a couple weeks off. I don't really have anything stored up besides this meeting in terms of getting the reserve fund and pieces done. So everybody okay if we start the next one at 8?
Fine with that.
Okay.
I don't know if others are, but
What you hear?
So when do we want to meet next? So normally we would meet the 27th, but to be honest, I don't have really much on an agenda to just meet for the sake of meeting. I think it would make sense for us to meet maybe at least once in August. Is there any week in August that's better or worse for people?
There is a worse. I'm actually going to try and take a vacation. I think it's the week of the 16th.
Okay.
Hang on a second. I have to.
So that like the August 15th is a Monday. So the 15th to the 19th.
I think we actually leave the Thursday before and take in that whole week. But hang on.
Okay. Yeah, think about it. Let me check my calendar.
I think most weeks look good for me as of now.
Yeah, maybe like August 3rd as a placeholder, and then if we need to move it up or back, depending on something comes up,
That's fine.
All right. I'll send out a meeting invite for August 3rd at 8 p.m.
third looks good.
Awesome. And if anybody has any topics they want to put on that agenda or anything that comes up that you want to add, I'm happy to add it. I'm still waiting to hear back from Rec to have a discussion on the revolving account. They were going to meet with Carla and kind of discuss that, but they said a later summer, so maybe they'll be ready for that one or later. something in August. But that's all I have for that. Sam, any public comment? Seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Excellent. Roll call vote. Howard.
Aye.
Adam. I think you're on mute.
Aye.
Marcy.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
And Andrew is aye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.